The phone rang at CBS headquarters at 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time. Then it rang again and again. Within minutes, every line was lit up. Switchboards overwhelmed. Operators couldn't keep up. Everyone calling with the same question. Who shot J.R.? It was March 21st, 1980. The Dallas season finale had just ended. Millions of Americans sat in their living rooms staring at their television screens in shock. J.R. Ewing, the man they loved to hate, the character who'd become a cultural icon, had been shot, left bleeding on his office floor. The screen had gone black before anyone could see who pulled the trigger. No answers, no resolution, just a cliffhanger that would haunt the country for 8 months. America stopped? Not literally, but close enough. By Saturday morning, Who Shot J.R. was everywhere. Newspaper headlines, radio call-in shows, conversations at grocery stores and gas stations and church services. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a suspect. Everyone needed to know. Vegas casinos set odds within 48 hours. Kristen Shepard 8-1, Sue Ellen 3-1, Cliff Barnes 2-1, Vaughn Leland 10-1, Alan Bean 15-1. You could bet on who pulled the trigger like you'd bet on a horse race. And people did. Thousands of dollars changing hands over a television plot point. T-shirts appeared within a week. Who Shot J.R. in bold letters. People wore them to work, to school, to bars. A question that transcended the show and became a statement. A way of participating in something bigger than yourself. A cultural moment happening in real time. The phenomenon wasn't just American. The show aired internationally. Britain stopped. Germany stopped. France stopped. In Turkey, the parliament delayed a session so members could watch the reveal episode. In Romania, the government-controlled television network aired Dallas despite its usual ban on Western programming, because even authoritarian regimes understood that people needed to know who shot J.R. Ewing. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not like this. Dallas was popular, sure. A top 10 show, but it was still a soap opera about rich Texans. It shouldn't have been able to capture global attention. Shouldn't have been able to make entire countries care about a fictional character getting shot. But it did. Larry Hagman understood what they'd stumbled into immediately. He saw the magazine covers, the news reports, the international attention. And he played it perfectly. Did interviews where he hinted and teased and revealed absolutely nothing. Claimed he didn't know who shot J.R. himself, that the producers were keeping it secret even from the cast. That was partially true. The producers had filmed multiple endings. Sue Ellen shooting J.R., Cliff Barnes shooting J.R., Kristen shooting J.R., even Bobby shooting J.R., each actor filming their version of the scene, each version edited and ready to air. That way no one could leak, no one could spoil the secret. The security around those film reels was tighter than Fort Knox. Locked vaults, armed guards. Only 3 people knew which ending would actually air: the show's creator, the producer, and Larry Hagman. Everyone else was in the dark. Everyone else guessing, just like America. The summer of 1980 was the summer of one question. Parties centered around it. Dating conversations opened with it. Job interviews somehow worked it in. Who shot J.R.? 3 words that everyone understood. 3 words that connected strangers. 3 words that proved television could create shared experiences on a scale no one had imagined. The cast milked it. Did press tours. Appeared on talk shows. Every actor who played a potential suspect got asked the same question over and over. Did you shoot J.R.? And they'd smile and demur and keep the secret, because they knew what they were sitting on. Lightning in a bottle. Cultural phenomenon. The kind of moment that comes once in a career if you're lucky. Linda Gray, who played Sue Ellen, got stopped everywhere she went. Airports, restaurants, gas stations. People begging her to tell them if Sue Ellen did it. If the long-suffering wife had finally snapped and shot her husband. She never broke, never even hinted, just smiled and said everyone would have to wait until November. November 21st, 1980. The date circled on calendars across America. The night the answer would finally be revealed. The night the mystery would be solved. The night America would stop holding its breath. The anticipation built for weeks. Newspapers ran countdown clocks. Radio DJs made predictions. Water cooler conversations intensified. The betting in Vegas reached fever pitch. Everyone convinced they'd figured it out. Everyone certain their theory was correct. No one knew the producers had changed their minds twice. The original plan had been Sue Ellen, the scorned wife, the obvious choice. But too obvious, they'd switched to Cliff Barnes, the rival, the enemy. That made sense too. But again, too expected. Kristen Shepherd was the dark horse. Sue Ellen's younger sister, J.R.'s mistress. Pregnant with his child, desperate and broken. And pushed too far. She made narrative sense, had motive, had opportunity, had been there all along, hiding in plain sight while everyone looked at the obvious suspects. The producers made the final call 3 weeks before the episode aired. Kristen would be the shooter. Mary Crosby got the call, flew to Los Angeles for additional filming, signed non-disclosure agreements that would bankrupt her if she leaked. The secret was locked down tighter than ever. November 21st arrived. The country actually stopped. Restaurants reported drops in business. Movie theaters were empty. Streets were quiet. 83 million Americans were home watching television, watching Dallas, waiting for the answer. The episode played it brilliantly, stretched it out, showed the investigation, the suspects brought in one by one. Each interrogation scene designed to make you think maybe it was them, maybe Sue Ellen, maybe Cliff, maybe Vaughn. The red herrings were perfect, the misdirection masterful. Then the flashback. J.R. in his office, working late, the door opening, someone walking in. The camera staying on J.R.'s face. Irritation. Then almost amusement. "What are you doing here?" he asked. A gun appeared, small, silver, shaking. "You can't be serious," J.R. said, his voice dismissive, condescending. The way he talked to people he didn't consider threats. The gun fired, and the camera finally showed who held it, Kristen Shepherd. The reaction was immediate and divided. Some viewers screamed, some laughed. Some felt cheated because it wasn't who they'd bet on. Some felt satisfied because it made perfect sense. All of them felt something, because after 8 months of waiting, after endless speculation and theories and debates, they finally had their answer. Kristen Shot J.R., a sweet girl from the country, Sue Ellen's little sister, the one person most people hadn't even considered. She'd pulled the trigger, she'd done it. The mystery was solved. Phone lines at CBS lit up again, this time with reactions instead of questions. Some people loved it, some hated it. Everyone had an opinion. The episode dominated the news cycle for days. Analysis pieces, think pieces, discussions about what it all meant. Because it meant something beyond just solving a mystery. It meant that television could create shared cultural moments, that a show could capture not just attention but imagination, that fiction could matter enough to make 83 million people stop their lives for an hour. The ratings were historic. Highest rated television episode up to that point, a record that would stand for years. Dallas went from popular show to cultural institution overnight. Larry Hagman went from famous actor to international icon. J.R. Ewing went from character to mythology. The Who Shot J.R. phenomenon changed television forever. Every show after tried to replicate it, tried to create that water cooler moment, that collective experience, that mystery that would make people wait and speculate and care. Most failed because Dallas had caught lightning in a bottle, had the right character at the right moment with the right mystery. J.R. Ewing was compelling enough that people cared whether he lived or died, hated enough that they wanted him dead, loved enough that they wanted him to survive. The tension was perfect, and the 8-month wait was accidental genius. The show had gone on summer hiatus as planned. No one knew the cliffhanger would become a phenomenon, that the country would spend months obsessing over it, that the mystery would grow beyond anything they'd imagined. If they'd resolved it the next week, it wouldn't have mattered. The magic was in the waiting, in the speculation, in the collective experience of not knowing, of trying to figure it out, of being part of something bigger than yourself. Larry Hagman later said it was the most surreal experience of his life, being at the center of a cultural moment that transcended entertainment, being stopped everywhere he went by people desperate for answers, Having world leaders and celebrities and ordinary people all asking him the same question, who shot JR? He never told. Kept the secret through months of pressure. Enjoyed the attention and the speculation and the absurdity of it all. Because he understood what they'd created. Not just a television show, but a shared experience. A moment when the entire world cared about the same thing at the same time. That doesn't happen often. Sports can do it. Major historical events. But a fictional character getting shot? That shouldn't have been able to capture global attention. Shouldn't have been able to make parliaments delay sessions and countries stop what they were doing. But it did. Because people loved stories, loved characters, loved being part of something bigger. And J.R. Ewing getting shot gave them a mystery they could solve together, a conversation they could have with anyone, a moment they could share. The marketing was accidental but brilliant. The t-shirts and the betting and the magazine covers all happened organically. CBS didn't plan a merchandising campaign, didn't coordinate with casinos, didn't strategize the phenomenon. It just happened. Because the story was good enough and the character compelling enough and the mystery tantalizing enough that people wanted to participate. That's the secret no one talks about. The phenomenon worked because people wanted it to work, wanted to be part of it, wanted to have opinions and theories and arguments about who pulled the trigger. The show gave them permission to care about something frivolous, to obsess over something that didn't matter in the grand scheme but felt important anyway. The reveal episode ended with JR surviving. Of course he did. You couldn't kill J.R. Ewing. He was the show. But the bullet had consequences. Kristen arrested. Her confession. The baby. The fallout that would play out over subsequent seasons. But none of that mattered as much as the moment. The reveal, the answer to the question that had haunted America for 8 months. Kristen Shepard pulled the trigger. The next day, life went back to normal. The phenomenon faded. People moved on to other things. But everyone who'd lived through it remembered where they were when they found out, remembered their theories, remembered being part of something. That's the legacy of Who Shot J.R. Not the answer, but the question. The 8 months when America stopped to care about a fictional character, when water cooler conversations centered around Dallas, when betting on television plot points seemed reasonable, when the entire world shared one obsession. It proved television could be more than entertainment. Could be cultural touchstone, could create moments that transcended screens and became part of collective memory. Larry Hagman understood that, embraced it, let J.R. Ewing become bigger than an actor and a character. Let him become symbol and phenomenon in shared experience. The night America stopped to ask who shot J.R. Ewing, something shifted in television, in culture, in the way we think about stories and characters and shared experiences. Because for 8 months, it didn't matter who you were or where you lived or what you believed. Everyone was asking the same question. Everyone was asking the same question. Who shot JR? 3 words that changed television forever. 3 words that proved fiction could matter. 3 words that brought the world together to care about a man who didn't exist. That's the power of story. Not in the answer, but in making people care enough to ask the question. And America asked, for 8 glorious months, everyone wanted to know, who shot J.R. Ewing? The answer was Kristen Shepard. But the real answer was simpler and more profound. Everyone cared. And that made all the difference.